So once we get to the end, everyone's going to be, finally, thank God, we can sleep. And then next year, of course, everyone's going to go, oh, we want to go back to Belfast.
You're good to go.
All right. Nikolai Coster-Waldau, I played Jaime Lannister. When we meet Jaime first in episode 1, he's a Kingsguard. He's guarding Robert Baratheon, who's the king, who's also married to Cersei, Jaime's sister. What we don't know in the beginning of the episode is that Jaime also has an intimate relationship with his sister. He's always been his father's favorite son, and he was also probably his father's biggest disappointment when he joined the Kingsguard.
If serving as a glorified bodyguard is the sum of your ambition, go serve.
Tyrion and Jaime has always had a very strong relationship.
Little brother. Beloved siblings.
Tyrion knows about Jaime and Cersei, and he's the only one who knows. Cersei and Jaime found this place where no one's around, and they have a very intimate moment, which is suddenly destroyed.
Stop! Stop!
Jaime makes a very quick decision that no matter what, this kid cannot be allowed to tell anyone what he's just witnessed.
The things I do for love.
He tells the story about why he's known as the Kingslayer.
Burn them all! Burn them all!
He killed the very man he was employed to protect.
He loved to watch people burn, with their skin blackened, blistered, and melted off their bones.
In Jaime's story, this king, the Mad King, was about to light all of King's Landing on fire and kill, a million people. And Jaime killed him to stop that.
He told me to bring him my father's head. Then he turned to his pyromancer. Burn them all, he said.
He opens up and he tells this story for the first time to Brienne. It's a very tender moment.
Enemies everywhere. We're surrounded by traitors. You're in command of the Lannister army now. How do we proceed?
No one wants to fight on the losing side. Right now, we look like the losing side.
The daughter of the Mad King has arrived with her dragons and her armies of Dothraki and Unsullied. He's taking the Tyrell castle. He also has this great scene with Olenna Tyrell, where he's basically saying, it's been nice to meet you, you're gonna have to move on now.
Will there be pain?
No, I made sure of that.
That's good.
She has to win this war of words by telling him the truth about Joffrey's murder.
Tell Cersei. I wanted to know it was me.
So he has that knowledge, which is driving him crazy. He gets the Tyrell gold, which they need because the crown is in terrible debt. Then disaster strikes because Daenerys Targaryen decides to go do what she does best, man. Fly the dragons and just burn shit. Tyrion convinces him to tell Cersei to have this big meeting. There is something bigger at stake. This is not just about, Westeros and who's the king and who's the queen. It's about survival.
The same thing is coming for all of us. A general you can't negotiate with. An army that doesn't leave corpses behind on the battlefield.
They all get together, and Cersei and Jaime, for the first time, actually sees what all this nonsense is about. And Cersei is shocked, and Jaime is shocked, and it's so scary, and oh my God, we're all gonna die.
The crown accepts your truth. Until the dead are defeated, they are the true enemy.
Yes, we're in this together, and everyone's happy, and he goes in, and he's planning, and then his sister comes in, and he goes,
What are you doing?
Preparing the expedition north.
I always knew you were the stupidest Lannister.
we're not gonna go fight those idiots. Did you see that thing? That's a scary thing. Let them do that, and we'll wait here, and then when they're done with that, we'll take them on.
Let the Stark boy and his new queen defend the North. We stay here where we've always been.
I made a promise.
And she's like, you're not gonna go. If you go, I'm gonna kill you. No, you're not. And he walks out because she doesn't kill him. He knew that. He didn't know that. And off he goes to fight the just cause for the world of the living.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. I got a lot of requests to do the Game of Thrones Season 8 promo for Jaime Lannister. He says so much good stuff during this and gives you a pretty good idea for where his arc is going to end during Season 8. There are a couple really big story arcs for his character, a couple running plot lines that they have to bring back around, like namely him being the Kingslayer, his relationship with Cersei, his past misdeeds like pushing Brienne out the window, effectively starting, what would eventually become the War of the Five Kings. It was just one of the tipping points that precipitated events that led to that. But I just love the way that he actually talks about it himself. He's almost as animated talking about Jaime's story as Emilia Clarke was talking about Daenerys' story during her promo, which I'll link at the end of this. But there's a new round of the Song of Ice and Fire book giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. So first big thing about Jaime Lannister is that of all the main characters on Game of Thrones, or at least most of the main characters, the story beats that they have to pay off that they've set up in the previous seasons are really clear. Like, there's a couple characters that could go a number of different ways because they've changed the story from the book so much. But for Jaime's character, there are really like 6 clear things that they've told you several times and that they hit upon during Season 7. Again, just to sort of remind you, because we're heading into the final season, like, hey, these are the big goals that he has. So starting with number 1, his desire to be a real hero, an actual knight in shining armor. Because remember when he debuted in the story, he was sort of a twist on that trope. Like, he looks like Prince Charming, but he is one of the worst people imaginable. The next one being his relationship with Cersei, the most important person in his life up to the last couple of seasons. I would argue she's still the most important person in his life, but now that their relationship has changed so much, they're almost on opposing sides of this conflict. So that's another big beat that they have to pay off. Because they literally came into the world together, they probably have to find a way to go out of this world together. The next big one is in finally paying off the promise of his relationship with Brienne. Whether or not they actually consummate that relationship, they had a really high moment when he told her again at River Run, keep the sword, it's yours, as a sort of metaphor of telling her, my heart is yours. The sword was more of a metaphor for their relationship. If you listen to a lot of the commentary that the actors had after the fact, that's the way they took that scene as well. Like, they have this sort of unspoken relationship. Neither one has actually said the way they feel about each other.
The scene between Jaime and Brienne, it is the most reluctant love story in history. They love each other and they hate that they love each other.
There is that complication.
They have a genuine understanding of each other, and I think that in many ways she gets him on a level that very few other people get him.
So they have to find a way to pay that off. They have to pay off his relationship with Bran Stark, because that's arguably one of the worst things that he's ever done. So if he's on a reverse hero arc, that they have to bring that back around when he arrives at Winterfell and Bran wheels up as the Three-Eyed Raven. They also have to pay off him being the Kingslayer. We haven't talked about that in a while, but it comes up every once in a while when people are wondering how Cersei is going to go out. Because as the Kingslayer, just in a really broad sense, Jaime made the ultimate betrayal because it was the only right decision to make. Like, he made the unthinkable choice because he was trying to do the right thing. And that is completely his character during Season 8. He breaks from Cersei, something that you would have previously thought unthinkable, because he's trying to do the right thing. So that's just going to continue, but they have to sort of bring that back around, that moment of him being the Kingslayer. So right now there are 3 really strong competing theories for how Jaime and Cersei are going to die. Because of all the main characters that I think are going to die during Season 8, they're not at the top of the list, but they're definitely on there. There's the thought that Cersei will try to burn them all, like her signature move now, her power move, is wildfire. So what if she tries to throw wildfire over the city as Daenerys tries to take it during another big battle? But then there's the unspoken idea that they might try to do the Valonqar, even though they didn't specifically set that up on the TV show. They sort of cut that out from the Maggie the Frog that you saw during Season 5, Episode 1. But you can't forget the idea of Arya's list, her finishing crossing the rest of the names off of her list, and Cersei is on her list. So if Maisie Williams has been teasing that Arya will finish crossing names off her list, that just implies that she's going to be involved in Cersei's death in some way. But also, another big Jaime moment they have to pay off is him dying in the arms of someone they love, literally prophesying his own death. How poetic is that? So like I said, Jaime and Cersei enter the world together as twins out of their mother's womb. They probably have to go out of this world together too. So of all the deaths on the TV show, I would say probably the most complicated from a story standpoint in them paying off really big setups that they had in previous seasons is Jaime and Cersei's death, but Cersei is probably one of the biggest villainous characters on the show, so of course anything that happens to her in the final episode is probably going to be one of the most epic things that ever happens on the TV show. So even though we're talking about Jon Snow embracing his Targaryen heritage, him and Daenerys potentially having a child together, them defeating the Night King, I think the stuff that's going on with Cersei's character during season 8 is going to be as much fun to watch as that other big mythological stuff that they have going on in the background. Because even though you have those big battles that are happening, I think they're trying to focus more and more on the individual characters, which is why the episodes are so much longer than normal episodes. Even during the big battle episodes, Dan, Dave, and the directors have teased that they made the episodes longer, like a big 40-minute long battle early in the season, because they wanted to have really big character moments with all of the main characters, instead of just getting like one or two really big scenes with a couple of big characters, and then you just seeing other ones walk around in the background. So of all the big Jaime teasers and setups from previous seasons, which ones are you most excited to see them pay off? Like him dying in the arms of someone he loves, him having something to do with the way that Cersei ends up dying, him fulfilling the promise of becoming that knight in shining armor by sacrificing himself or attempting to while they tried to kill the Night King. And what'll happen is there's still a bunch more of these Game of Thrones Season 8 promos for different characters, so I'll try to do as many as possible in the next couple of weeks, but leave your requests in the comments below. Congratulations to Akram Khan, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Game of Thrones video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details.